All right, so diving right in
Yeah.
to Silicon Valley.
Okay.
It's like Shark Tank out there right now
Right.
with what's happening at Intel.
Exactly.
Over 40 years, Pat Gelsinger has been with Intel.
Wow, yeah.
CEO just announced his retirement.
Really? A veteran of the industry?
Yeah, and the tech world is already,
Losing their minds.
a buzz
Yeah.
about what this could mean for the company.
Right.
Some are even saying a
Yeah.
breakup could be on the horizon.
I mean, it's not every day you see a move like this
Right.
that sparks this kind of like intense speculation.
Exactly. So that's what we're going to do today.
Okay.
We're going to unpack all this.
Sounds good.
We've got two key sources for this deep dive.
Okay.
We've got a breaking news article from Investopedia,
Right.
and then we've got the official press release from Intel.
Straight from the horse's mouth.
Straight from the horse's mouth, exactly.
All right.
So we're going to figure out what's really going on at Intel and what it could mean for the entire tech landscape.
The whole industry.
You ready to get into it?
Absolutely. Let's go.
All right, so
Yeah.
Gelsinger's departure.
Yeah. Why is this such a big deal?
This is the big question.
Right.
Investopedia is highlighting some analysis from Bank of America,
Okay.
and they're saying that his exit could actually make a breakup,
Oh, wow.
more likely.
Okay, so that's a pretty bold statement.
It is.
To understand that, I think we need to look at
Yeah.
what Gelsinger's vision for Intel was.
Right.
He was a really big advocate for keeping Intel's manufacturing and foundry businesses together.
Together, yeah.
And he saw that as a key part of his turnaround strategy.
So just so we're all on the same page,
Yeah.
Intel's got these two main sides to its business.
Right.
They make their own chips. That's the manufacturing side.
Right.
But they also make chips for other companies,
Yes.
which is the foundry business.
Uh-huh.
And Gelsinger wanted to keep those two working together.
Hand in hand, exactly.
Yeah. And it seems like that vision might have been
A sticking point.
a point of contention.
Yeah.
Because Bloomberg and Reuters
Oh,
are both reporting that there was growing pressure from the board
really?
over how quickly the company was turning around,
Interesting.
especially, in terms of catching up to rivals like NVIDIA.
Yeah, how they were doing against the competition.
Right. So it sounds like they weren't convinced
Right,
that
yeah.
Gelsinger's approach was really getting them where they needed to be.
Interesting. So we have this like internal struggle
Yeah.
of Gelsinger wanting to keep things together.
Keep it all together, yeah.
And the board may be looking for a more like radical change.
Right.
It's like a tug of war.
Yeah. And then you've got this other thing
What's that?
that really throws a wrench in the whole thing.
Okay.
And that is the Cheap Chips Act funding.
Oh, right.
So Intel just got $8 billion
Wow.
through the Cheap Chips Act,
Huge.
designed to boost domestic chip production.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
That agreement that they signed
Yeah.
requires Intel to maintain at least a 35% stake
Oh, wow.
in its foundry business.
Okay.
That makes a clean break.
Hard to do.
Really tough.
Yeah.
So even if they wanted to completely separate the manufacturing and foundry sides,
Right.
they've got this funding deal that's
Still a roadblock.
a roadblock, exactly.
Interesting.
So they're in a bind.
Sounds like it, yeah.
They've got these analysts predicting a breakup,
Right.
but they've also got this funding agreement that makes it really hard.
Right.
I'm curious to see how they navigate this.
Me too.
So these analysts that are saying that a breakup is more likely
Yeah.
with all these hurdles,
Mm.
what's their overall take on Intel's future?
Well, despite all this breakup buzz,
Yeah.
they're sticking with an underperform rating
Okay.
on Intel's stock.
So for those of us who aren't fluent in Wall Street jargon,
Right.
what does that actually mean?
Yeah, essentially they believe that Intel's stock is likely to do worse than the overall market.
Okay.
So even with this potential shakeup,
Yeah.
they're not exactly bullish on Intel's prospects.
Interesting. Okay, so we've heard from the analysts.
Yeah.
Let's hear from Intel.
All right, let's switch gears.
Let's look at their press release.
Yeah.
So in their press release,
Okay.
it's all about Gelsinger retiring
Uh-huh.
after a long and successful career.
Right, of course. Yeah.
No mention of any board pressure or
Right.
hints of internal conflict at all.
I mean, that's not surprising.
Not really.
Companies often try to project a sense of stability during these leadership transitions.
Right.
But if you read between the lines,
Uh-huh.
there's some interesting details here.
Uh-huh.
They announced some leadership changes.
Okay.
David Zinsner, who's the current CFO,
Yeah.
and Michelle Johnston Holthaus.
Mm-hmm.
They've appointed her the CEO of this brand new division called Intel Products.
Wait, hold on. Two CEOs.
Yeah.
That's Kind of a unique setup.
It is.
What is this Intel Products division?
So it looks like they're consolidating
Okay.
a lot of their operations.
Uh-huh.
This new group will encompass their client computing group, data center and AI group, network and edge group.
So basically everything related to their product offering.
Exactly. It's all going under Holthaus.
Under Holthaus.
Yeah.
So they're streamlining, they're centralizing.
Uh-huh.
Is this a sign that they're gearing up for some kind of restructuring?
Possibly.
Even if it's not a full breakup?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a possibility.
Okay.
They're also emphasizing things like simplifying their product portfolio, advancing their manufacturing and foundry capabilities, and optimizing their operating expenses and capital expenditures.
Lots of corporate jargon.
It is.
But what does it actually mean?
I think it could signal a move towards a leaner, more agile Intel. They might be laying the groundwork for a significant shift. Even if it's not the dramatic split that some are anticipating.
Right, so we're seeing these two different narratives here.
Yeah.
We've got the analysts speculating about a breakup.
Right.
Fueled by Gelsinger's exit.
Uh-huh.
And the difficulties facing Intel's businesses.
Yeah.
But then you've got Intel themselves.
Right.
Presenting this picture of more gradual restructuring and streamlining.
It's interesting how these two perspectives are painting these really different pictures of the future.
Yeah, one side's saying break it up, and the other one's saying
fine-tune it.
Optimize.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the most important takeaway from all of this?
I think what's really striking to me is the level of uncertainty surrounding Intel's future.
Yeah.
We have all these external forces, like the CHPS Act. This is an intense competition, putting pressure on them.
Yeah.
And then we have these internal tensions that seem to have come to a head with Gelsinger's departure.
Yeah.
It's like a real crossroads moment.
It is, and that's why this deep dive is so important.
Yeah.
We're trying to piece together this puzzle.
Right.
To figure out what's really going on and what the future holds for Intel.
Exactly.
But we've only just scratched the surface.
Right.
In part 2, we're going to explore the motivations behind a potential breakup.
Okay.
The impact of that CPS Act funding and how all of this could ripple out across the entire tech landscape.
It could have huge implications.
It really could.
Yeah.
Okay, so welcome back to our deep dive on Intel. Last time we left off this huge question mark hanging over Intel's future.
No, what's going to happen?
Analysts are saying breakup.
Intel's
saying restructuring optimization.
Right. Two very different pictures.
It's a fascinating contrast.
It is. And I think, you know, it's worth kind of like exploring those breakup rumors a bit further.
Yeah.
What would motivate Intel's board to even consider such a drastic move?
What's the upside?
Yeah, what's the point?
To splitting the company.
Well, one argument is that it would allow Intel to really zero in on its core strengths. You know, both the manufacturing and foundry businesses are facing this like really fierce competition.
Yeah, it's tough out there.
It is. And separating them could give each side the flexibility and the focus it needs to actually thrive in those markets.
So it's about specialization.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to be a jack of all trades, you become a master of one.
Exactly. So the manufacturing arm could just pour all of its resources into reclaiming its technological edge, pushing the boundaries of chip design and performance. Think of it as like going head to head with NVIDIA in this like high stakes innovation race.
Okay, so they're going after the crown.
Yeah.
Okay, and what about the foundry side?
So the foundry side could focus on building relationships with clients, scaling up production,
and becoming the go-to source for any company that needs high-quality chips.
So kind of like what TSMC is doing.
Yeah, exactly.
But with Intel's
name,
the reputation,
and expertise.
He's got it.
And then by streamlining operations, both businesses could potentially become more profitable.
Okay.
And investors love that.
Right.
It could give Intel's stock price a much-needed boost.
Right, because that underperform rating isn't exactly...
inspiring confidence?
No, not really.
But, you know, we have to remember...
Yeah.
That pesky CPS Act funding...
Right, that 35% stake requirement?
Yeah, that throws a wrench into the plans.
It really does. It's like they're trying to solve a puzzle.
Yeah.
But some of the pieces are glued together. So if a complete separation is off the table, what other options do they have?
Well, they could explore a partial spinoff. of the foundry business. This would allow them to attract outside investment and give the foundry side more autonomy. But they'd still retain a majority stake to comply with the agreement.
So kind of like setting it free but keeping it on a leash?
In a way, yeah. They could also look into strategic partnerships or joint ventures. Maybe team up with another company that has expertise in an area where Intel needs to grow.
So it's all about being creative.
It is, yeah. Finding ways to work around these limitations.
It's interesting because they're not making these decisions in a vacuum.
No.
They're in this crazy global landscape with the chip shortage looming over everything.
Absolutely.
How does that factor in?
It's a huge factor. I mean, the chip shortage has shown us how reliant the world is on these companies for these essential components. And the U.S. government is very interested in boosting domestic chip production. You know? So they're not so reliant on foreign suppliers.
And Intel is a major player.
Absolutely.
In that whole push.
But wouldn't a breakup potentially hurt
Possibly,
their ability to contribute to that effort?
It's a valid concern. Restructuring is always messy. And there's a risk that production could be disrupted. So it's this delicate balancing act. On the one hand, they need to become more competitive, more efficient, but they also can't afford to jeopardize their role in addressing this global shortage.
So is there any way to know how a breakup
I don't know.
or restructuring would impact the chip supply?
It's really hard to say for sure. Some people argue that a split would actually lead to greater efficiency, and they could ramp up production faster. Each business would be more focused, and they could tailor their investments to
their specific needs.
Exactly.
So more chips faster.
That's the idea.
That sounds good.
It does in theory. But other people worry that it could actually fragment their resources and expertise. They argue that Intel's size and integration are what allow it to compete on a global scale. And that a split would weaken them.
So you've got these two sides.
Two competing narratives.
You break it up, more agility, faster growth. You keep it together. You've got that global influence.
You maintain that scale.
It's a tough call.
It is. It really is. And I think it highlights how crucial leadership is right now. With Gelsinger gone. Whoever takes over has some really tough decisions.
Really tough decisions.
To make.
Decisions that could have ripple effects. Across the whole industry.
Absolutely. This is high-stakes stuff.
We've covered a lot of ground here.
You have.
But there's one piece of the puzzle left. In part 3, we're going to look at Intel's past.
All right.
And see if there are any lessons they can learn from.
Oh, interesting.
Other tech giants. Who have gone through their own breakups.
I'm intrigued.
Welcome back to the final part of our Intel Deep Dive. It's been a journey.
It has been.
We've gone from Gelsinger's departure to these breakup rumors, the impact of the GPS Act. We even debated whether splitting up this giant is even a good idea.
A lot to unpack.
So much to unpack. So much to think about.
It really highlights, I think, the complexity of the challenges facing Intel. And the industry as a whole.
And these aren't just like theoretical discussions. This is
real-world stuff.
Real-world impact, If you were sitting in that boardroom, what would your strategy be?
Wow.
For Intel's future?
$1 million question. Honestly, I don't think there's like an easy answer, but I think I would start by asking some fundamental questions. Like, what are Intel's core strengths? What really sets them apart?
Back to basics.
Yeah, in a way.
Figure out what you do best.
Right.
And double down.
I think it's easy to get caught up in trying to be everything to everyone. But sometimes the best strategy is to just focus on what you're really good at.
Become the best.
And become the undisputed leader.
But Intel also has to think about the big picture.
The long game.
The tech landscape changes so quickly.
It does.
They've got to be prepared.
Absolutely. And that means really thinking about how the decisions they make today will impact their position years down the line.
Are they setting themselves up for long-term success, or are they just reacting to
short-term pressures?
Short-term pressures, It's like chess.
It is. You got to think.
Multiple moves ahead.
Several moves ahead.
And sometimes the best move isn't obvious.
That's why I think having a vision is so crucial.
Where do they want to be in 5 years?
Right, exactly. Where do they see themselves? What role do they want to play?
Yeah, what's their place?
In the tech world.
In this ecosystem, yeah.
And once they have that vision,
yeah,
they can start making decisions.
That align with that vision.
Right.
But that vision has to include all these external factors.
It does this HPS Act, the chip shortage.
Right, all of it.
The competition, it's a lot to juggle.
It's a lot to juggle. Yeah. And that's why this whole breakup restructuring question is so important.
It is, yeah.
It's not just about, making more money.
Right, it's bigger than that.
It's about their place in the world.
Yeah, shaping the future of the industry.
And we've talked about this potential breakup. But, corporate breakups aren't
they happen.
New in tech.
All the time.
I mean, we've seen AT&T, HP, even IBM.
Big names.
Big names go through this.
Yeah.
So what can they learn?
That's a great point.
Those examples.
I think it's essential that they really study those past breakups. Okay. And understand what worked.
What worked, what didn't.
What didn't and why. History can be a valuable teacher, especially when you're making a decision this big.
Looking back to move forward.
Exactly. What were the long-term consequences?
Right.
Were they ultimately stronger or weaker?
Yeah. Did it even work?
Did it even make sense?
These are the questions they need to be asking.
They need to be asking those tough questions.
And they need to be honest about the answers.
No sugarcoating.
No sugarcoating.
Because at the end of the day, it comes down to execution.
Right.
It's not enough to just have a plan.
You got to be able to do it.
You have to be able to actually implement it.
And that takes leadership.
It does.
Visionary leadership.
Yeah, someone who can really inspire people.
Yeah, get everyone on board.
Yeah.
And so as we wrap up this deep dive, I think we've uncovered more than just the facts.
Right.
We've explored these complex forces at play.
The different perspectives.
Yeah, and these really high-stakes decisions.
Huge decisions.
That are ahead for Intel.
Yeah.
And I think most importantly, what we've learned is that the future is
uncertain.
Totally uncertain.
And that's what makes it so fascinating.
It really is.
Yeah, this is a pivotal moment for them.
It is.
And the choices they make will affect everybody.
And listeners, as we leave you with this final thought, keep those past tech breakups in mind.
Right.
As you follow Intel's journey.
Good point.
Did those companies make the right calls?
Yeah, think about it.
Were they stronger or weaker?
Were they better off?
It's something to ponder.
It is.
As we continue to explore the ever-changing world of tech.
Absolutely.
Until next time, stay curious.